I can't imagine the fear that comes when you wake up and you hear footsteps is inside the house. Complete terror. This is the story of Linda Stevens. I woke up, groggy and confused and needing to pee very, very badly, and suddenly I heard a voice and strange footsteps. With 8 people in the house, that wasn't uncommon. Someone had probably gotten up to go to the washroom, and either started talking to someone else, or they had answered the phone. Well, it turns out that couldn't have been possible because I didn't recognize the voice. That was what immediately woke me up, and I froze, clutching my blanket while sitting up in bed. It was a man. His voice was deep, and he kept prattling on about some treasure and the corpse of a girl that he is hiding in the basement of a house. He was right outside the door, but he never turned the doorknob or made any attempt at entering one of the rooms. He kept talking about some body parts that he placed in a bag under a couch, and that he had her eyeball in his hand as he speaks. He just kept passing by, as if pacing, all the while talking to someone about giving back his treasure for the exchange of the remains of that girl. I was terrified. Suddenly, he whispered, "I know you can hear me. I know you are awake. Go back asleep, Linda," and he was so close to the door that I can hear him. I still don't know how I managed to not wet the bed. Eventually, the voice went silent, and I somehow fell asleep. Later that night I woke up again, feeling someone breathing next to my head. When I opened my eyes, I found a shirt, a jeans and a pair of shoes right next to my head. These clothes smells like urine and feces. These are not mine. I was terrified I couldn't move, because I was too scared that the man is still outside my room. I moved out of my bed and moved slowly to the door of my room. I placed my ear on the door in an attempt to hear if the man is still outside. I couldn't hear anything. As I was walking back to my bed I saw a picture of a girl on the floor. As I took a closer look at the picture I noticed that the eyes are missing from the picture. I couldn't sleep that night. The morning broke through the darkness of the night. When I heard my parents' voice I ran down to the kitchen. Everyone is doing their thing, getting ready for work or school or busy. With the picture in my hand, I told my mom and grandmother, who were both in the kitchen, about what happened. They froze. Everyone froze. As I was telling them about his obsession with a girl and a treasure, I looked over my grandfather through the window. A man was standing like 5 feet away from the window, dressed in black, long hair, open wide eyes, smiling at me in a creepy way and just waving. I screamed, but my voice couldn't be heard. Everyone is just frozen. Suddenly I couldn't breathe. Everything turned, but I could see clear that creepy man smiling at me and waving. He was just waving. Suddenly I woke up and realized that it was a bad dream. I ran down to the kitchen where my family was preparing breakfast, and I told my mom and grandmother, who were both in the kitchen, about the voice and the creepy man, and laughed at how weird the brain is. I hadn't mentioned his obsession with the treasure of the girl, but my grandfather did, as did my mother and brother. Everyone agreed about the treasure and the girl. It turns out the voice was real. A man was in the house. Apparently, the man had combed the entire house, but he never actually entered any of the rooms. Nothing was stolen, all the doors were locked, and all the windows had screens, none of which were missing. The next day, while I was helping my grandparents clean the garage, the moment we entered the garage a bad smell was filling up the place, a smell like a dead rat. My grandmother found several bloodstains behind the old sofa, which had been up against one of the walls for quite some time. Inside the sofa she also found a bag. The girl had blue eyes. Just like mine.